Hello guys, this is Harold and it is time for English. Our lesson today is on comparatives and superlatives. What are comparatives? Comparatives are a form of adjectives used to compare two people, two places, or two things, while superlatives are a form of adjectives used to compare three or more people, three places, or things. Now, we are going to look at how we make the comparatives and superlatives of short adjectives. With short adjectives, to make the comparative, we add er to the adjectives. And to make the superlative, we add est, as you can see here on the table. Long, longer, the longest. Cheap, cheaper, the cheapest. Smart, smarter, the smartest. Wide, wider, the widest. In short, we are trying to say that if an adjective has one syllable, or it is a short adjective, to make the comparative, just add er, and to make the superlative, you have to add est to the adjectives. Now, let us look at the long adjectives, or adjectives of more than one syllable. How do they make their comparative and superlative form? As you can see here on the board, we have a few examples. Okay, expensive is a long adjective. Interesting, complicated, all these are long adjectives. But how do we form their comparatives and how do we form their superlatives? Okay, with long adjectives, to form the comparatives, we add more before the adjective. For instance, you can see here, expensive, more expensive. This is the comparative, and the most expensive, this is the superlative. So to form the superlative, we use the most before a long adjective or an adjective of more than one syllable. Look at this example, interesting. Interesting is a long adjective. So to form the comparative, we add more before the word. So we have more interesting. But to form the superlative, as we mentioned, as we said, we add the most before the adjective. So here we have the most interesting. Interesting, more interesting, the most interesting. We have another example here, complicated. Complicated is an adjective of more than one syllable. So to form the comparative, as we mentioned, we use more before the adjective. So we have more complicated. And to form the superlative, we use the most. And we have the most complicated. So interesting, more interesting, the most interesting. Expensive, more expensive, the most expensive. Complicated, more complicated, and the most complicated. However, we have what we call irregular adjectives. These adjectives, they don't add er or est to form their comparative and superlative forms. Let's look at them. Yes, as we mentioned, we said irregular adjectives. Some adjectives don't add er or est to make the comparative or superlative. They completely change their form. They completely change their form. Let's look at some examples. Wow, these are some examples of irregular adjectives. Adjectives that do not add er or est to make their comparative form or superlative form. Look at these adjectives: bad, To make the comparative, you cannot say better and you cannot say the baddest to make the superlative. Why? Because these adjectives are irregular adjectives. They don't follow the rule. So, bad will change to worse. And the superlative is the worst. So, bad, worse, worst. We don't have bad, badder, baddest. No. Another example of an irregular adjective is good. We don't have something like good, gooder, goodest. No. Good will change to better, and the superlative form is best. So we are going to say good, better, the best. Little. There's nothing like little, littler, the littlest. Nothing. So little is an example of irregular adjective. It changes completely from little to less and the least. So less is the comparative and the least is the superlative form. Much is also an example of an irregular adjective. So much changes to more, and then the superlative will be the most. So we say much, more, the most. Yes. And what else? I think, yes, we have to stop here. This is the end of the lesson, and thank you for following.